All right, we are live. Welcome, folks. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's live stream. James with Team Finish Strong. And I just want to give a shout out right away to those in the chat. If you guys could let me know if the chat is working tonight. We have had some technical difficulties the last couple of streams, and I'm trying my best to head those off and make sure that they don't become a problem for tonight. So if you just give me a holler, let me know, and then I will know if our chat is working or not. So those of you who are joining in tonight, tonight's ride is not a race. So I'm just going to disclose that right from the start. If you're looking for a race tonight, I hope this is not it. The reason for that is this is a charity event called the Bike MS Ride with Zwift co-founder Scott Barger. There's 3 of these events being held today. We've already had one event. Zwift has had one event, and the Cheetah Olympic medalist, and forgive me for forgetting his name, I probably couldn't pronounce it anyway, I would suppose, was the leader for the first event. Zwift co-founder Scott Barger is the leader of this event, and then there is a highly decorated, if you will, crit and road race champion leading the third race, or third event, I should say, tonight. So you still have a chance to get in on this if you're thinking about joining in. And why would you join in? Hey, thanks, Emiano. Great, I'm glad the chat's working. I see it might not be, okay, there we go. It's working on the live stream too. Why one would join such an event tonight? This is a ride to support a cure, advancing research and a cure for MS, which, for the longest I can remember, as a kid, we had MS readathons. Those of you who are older, I don't know if they even still do those. Do kids still read books nowadays? I hope so. But readathons back then was the big thing to raise money. And I remember being enthusiastically supportive of that back in the day. Today, we do a ride for that very same purpose. Zwift has sponsored this event. They have graciously kickstarted donations to help fund the participation, I guess you could say, in this particular fundraiser. And so, there is a way you can participate both through your giving as well as through riding. If you want to ride, you still got 6 minutes to join us here on the, I believe it's starting on Fuego Flats. I'm not sure about that. Heading out to the volcano and then back. The last route, I believe, goes up one of the Surrey Hills over in London. Similarly flat course, but has that element to it too. So me, I picked the flattest one. The one that's going to be easiest for me. And part of that is because I like flat courses. Who doesn't, right? But part of it too was I had tried out the Repack Bridge for the first time last night. And I was thinking it would be, I don't know why, but I think I've watched too many YouTube videos. But I have in mind, when I think of a mountain bike course, I think it's all downhill. And it's just about steering. But there was a lot of climbing in that little course. A lot of climbing packed into that little course. So I actually got a workout in. So my legs are not as fresh as they would otherwise be, and so I think the other course, which was going to be, I think, Everything Bagel or something like that in New York, had a lot more distance, a lot more climbing. So, and with Olympic medalists leading it, I thought maybe I might be a little bit faster pace than I would prefer. So I'm here tonight in the second of the 2 events. And I think I keep calling them races. Forgive me. Hopefully this is not a race. you know how it is. I'm just going to ride here for a little bit longer until we click over. But, you know, there's always going to be some folks that will be challenging themselves, and that's a good thing during an event. So no disparity there for that. But for me tonight, it's going to be an opportunity to have some extended time chatting and riding for a great cause. And we only got a few minutes before the start. I just wanted to also make mention that one of our team members had participated in this Bike for MS event earlier this year, and I just want to give a shout out to her, Angie Johnson, for completing that just this past September. She rode over 1,800 miles from August to September to complete that awesome event out on the West Coast. I believe it was a bike down the West Coast of the U.S. I imagine that is a very memorable experience for her, and it's a very personal experience for her. So if you are inclined to support the cause of finding a cure for multiple sclerosis, I would encourage you to check out her fundraising page, and the link is in the description. You can check it out. She's already raised quite a bit. I think she's met her original goal, but if you are so inclined, you can feel free to add to that with our gratitude, of course, from Finish Strong. So with that, just want to open up the chat. Want to see how everyone's doing. Anybody out there in the chat has ridden the first event? It might actually still be going on. Let's see, I think it started at 4. It's probably over 2 hours. I'm guessing it's probably still underway, if I would guess. Now, wouldn't it be funny? Well, actually, it's in, what is it, in a different course? Yeah, it's in a completely different world, so we won't cross paths with those folks. But that would be pretty funny, wouldn't it? To see the folks riding in the other direction or something. I actually did a charity event like that, where some folks were riding a longer distance, and I was riding a shorter distance, and I happened to see them coming the other way. It was pretty neat, seeing us cross paths. But, you know, I'm a big believer in raising awareness for worthy causes. I'm still wearing the kit from the Man Ride, 2019 Man Ride put on by Black Sheep Cycling for mental health awareness. I think that's a very important topic. And sadly, I still continue to see in the news how alarming the trends are, even among our youth, which is really, really sad, you know, to be, you know, just starting out in life and feeling like you've already given up. It's just, I can't imagine the stress and strain that brings people to that kind of decision so early in life. But we really need to have those conversations with our loved ones, and even our children. They're not immune. They're not immune to that kind of potential outcome. So have those conversations. But focusing on tonight's event, anybody out there who has a personal connection with MS in some way that they'd like to share, yeah, please do chime in and speak. Let us know how it's affected you personally, your family, your friends or coworkers. As for me, I have not had that personal connection, I would say, just that experience early in life with supporting it. And, of course, my teammate having done an amazing effort personally on her part to do that as well, to raise awareness for it. So really thankful for that. And I've got 9 seconds here. Okay, I'm chatting away, and I'm about to miss the event. Y'all were just waiting to see if I was going to do that, right? Well, I did not miss it. Although I'm driving off course already, and I'm on the TT bike. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get this thing straightened out right now at the outset. All right. Well, we got ourselves a little challenge already, huh? I was going to ask you guys what bike set would be best, but it looks like we do not have choices tonight. We do not. So I'll have to go for the all-rounder. All right, here we go. Let's see a little sprint right at the start. Oh, he's a ways down the road already. Wow. Okay. I just told somebody this week how I forget and go into events with TT bikes more than I would care to admit. There's the proof. We got a lot of folks in here. How many? It seems endless. They're starting to speed up. Okay, what's 40 kph? Translate. Is that faster than me? I hope not. More than 300. The line seems endless. All right. And here I thought the only work I was going to have to do was on the volcano. Feels a little fast up here. .5 miles an hour. Woo! Okay, that's pretty good pace. That's a not quite so comfortable in the draft pace. Not quite social. Not quite social pace. I have a feeling it's already broken up a little bit. Had to have by now. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all group. Whew. Okay, now time to catch my breath. It's always good training. even when it's unintended. I would advocate doing that, however, not unless you're a glutton for punishment. 2.5 would be perfecto. That would be perfecto, Mr. Barger. Because I do think we've split the group already. I do believe. Yeah, we've got a group that has broken off the back. I think he's trying to regroup them right now. So, we just started. Only 2 miles in. All right. Okay, so finally calming down here. So has anyone ridden this event or ridden any event in support of MS? I know for my part, I have not seen any local events in our area in support of this. So I'm just curious if any of y'all have seen anything out there. Yeah, they should be, right? There's always some that turn it into a personal challenge. And while I can understand that, I think it shouldn't necessarily dictate the pace. You know, this is, I think, 2.5, I think, is a reachable pace for a good segment of the Zwift community. Maybe not everybody. I know when I first started riding Zwift, 2.5 would have been not possible for me to hold, not even 20 minutes. So I realize that, but maybe in the draft we are going a little bit less in the draft. So, but it's great to see over 300 in attendance tonight. I know, here I am sweating. First 6 minutes in a social pace group ride. So, speaking of mountain biking, as Mr. Barger has started the topic, how many of you have tried Repacked Ridge? How many of you have gone down it yet? Well, that's actually a misnomer. Gone down and back up it, I should say. Oh, thank you, Mr. Barger. For those of you who haven't checked it out, I did my first run on Repacked Ridge last night. I'll admit, I was trying to sneak on there, see if I could get a mountain bike last night. Didn't think I'd be confident enough to get it, so I didn't live stream it. I didn't want to live stream my fail in front of everybody. But it's harder than it looks. But for those of you who do race and are very much interested in a better set of wheels and frame for those races that need it, like the Jungle Circuit, you got to head over to Repacked Ridge. That's where you'll find the mountain bike. And it is not so much about watts, because I did it in under 8 minutes, and I even fumbled and crashed a few times at that. But they give you a generous amount of time to complete it. It's 12 minutes from what GP Llama says in his review of it. They give you 12 minutes to complete, but you have to hit 9 out of 10 stars. And I didn't know what that meant until I ran it last night. What it basically means is you got to hit certain key lines in the course, some difficult, some not so difficult, and you got to hit them reasonably perfect, I'll say, to get a full star. If you are off course a little bit, you get a half star. If you crash, you don't get a star. And you have to get 9 out of 10 stars to get the mountain bike. Plus, run it in under 12. So the under 12 part, I don't think is unreasonable for just about everybody to accomplish. But the steering part definitely requires a good hand. So if you do it on your first try, hey, leave a comment. Let us know how you did it. You must be a good mountain biker, because it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't know how many attempts it's going to take for me to get this mountain bike. But you know, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. So, Emiliano, you haven't tried it yet? Yeah, and that has been your advice. I think is one that I've been taking myself, because it is noticeably different. When I was on a ride not too long ago, it was called a steady 3.0 ride, and it went around the flat route. And every time they hit gravel, everybody's watts went up to over 5 watts a kilo to keep up with the peloton, because it really wants to rip you from the peloton. It really does. If you're not maintaining power through those sections. And those are just short sections. I can't imagine how difficult it would have been to do the entire jungle circuit without the proper wheels. So it looks like the jungle circuit races will be spectacular spectacles for anybody who watches them or participates, until more folks get the mountain bikes. Unless Zwift just wants to gift some to us, I don't know. But I have a feeling that this steering thing and this gravel resistance thing is not going to go away. I think there's if I would suspect, it's probably to do with capturing a bigger audience in Zwift, that mountain bike community, and has something to do with a little thing called revenue, I think. Maybe, just a little bit. But that's a good thing. Keeps the platform operating for everyone. But I just wish they left the volcano flat alone. I like that route. It's going to be a shame to have to switch bikes for a route like that. That's like 90% tarmac, you know. You know, interestingly, I guess for those of us, Emiliano, who don't have that mountain bike, for something like the Watopia Flat, we're probably just going to have to treat it like another hill. You know, it's just a hill without elevation. And just think of it that way. Plan for it. Plan for the pain. Where's okay, so our leader is still behind us. Actually getting farther and farther behind us. I gotta slow it down. We're getting strung out here on both ends, probably. Okay, I see. He is fallen to the back to encourage those at the back of the peloton. So he might even be trying to sweep up a couple of folks. I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting here how we broke it into like 3 groups tonight. I don't know which group to go with. I guess I sort of made my answer, huh? It's going to be this group. Beacon group was doing 27. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm in the right group then. But I will say kind of going back to our conversation about repack ridge, that it is an interesting course, and I think there's some entertainment value, probably some training value too. Because let me tell you, it felt like the hardest crit I've ever been in, going up and down those 16% slopes. But that being said, my wife was very amused when she watched the video. She actually was very entertained by it. She said it's more interesting to watch than these types of rides. So, and I guess I would agree. It has a lot more element of suspense to it because you don't know what's coming around the next corner. And it comes up quick. So it is kind of fun. But I will tell you, it feels more like a game than training right now. It's just, this is not made for something like that. But they'll probably come up with something, I'm sure. So, has anybody done any events this weekend? Any rides, races, anything interesting? I know here in the southeast, we're finally winding up the outdoor riding season. Group rides are winding down for the most part around here. We did have an interesting and very popular event right in our backyard today. Some of you may already be aware of what this is. Any guesses? Any guesses? I'll give you clues. It's connected to Greenville, which is just down the road from where I happen to live here in South Carolina. Any guesses? All right, well, we're very fortunate, I will say, to have a wonderful Grand Fondo in our area. In fact, that's what these jerseys behind me are all about. It's the Hincapie Grand Fondo. And today was their 2019 edition. And although I elected not to do it this year, it is a wonderful event. I blogged about it on my my WordPress blog. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it has been rated one of the best fondos in the U.S. consistently. So if you like those types of events, George absolutely puts on a great fondo. In fact, it started out as a birthday celebration for him. His brother Rich Hincapie, I believe, put on a ride in honor of his birthday with some close friends, I believe is how the story goes. And in time, it grew in popularity that it became a community event. And thus the Fondo was born. And some of the greatest, not the greatest, some of the best climbing, I would say, in the southeast that you get to experience on that Fondo. Skyuka being one of them. I did a video on Skyuka. You can check it out. See what Skyuka is all about. It is a very rewarding climb. Very difficult climb, but very rewarding at the top. Although, not so much so, maybe on a day like today. It was really cloudy, cold. Started to rain this afternoon. So I don't know if they had any spectacular views today from the top of Skyuka, but nonetheless, a wonderful event. I enjoy it every time I ride it. More food than you can possibly eat. Guaranteed to gain more calories than you lose, no matter how far you rode, because of the food is just amazing. So, highly encourage folks to check it out, see what it's all about. So we had this in our area today. Usually about 2,000 cyclists from all over the world come in attendance for that. So I'm sure it was a very crowded in the Tigerville area of Greenville County this morning. Let's see here. Maybe I should use this. No, I'll probably save this feather. We might get another one, but a feather is what I'm going to need more than anything else today, because you know where we're going, right? It's not all flats. On the out and back, got to do some sightseeing at the volcano. I'll save the feather, because I have a feeling my group might leave me behind. I don't know. I'm not really sure what Mr. Barger's plans are for the KOM. If he's going to keep it a steady 2.5 or what. So, Emiliano, others in the chat, have you been on any fondos you'd recommend? Any fondos or other events in other parts of the U.S. that are just really memorable for you? I really haven't attended a lot of events outside of my immediate region. I guess I just haven't taken the liberty to plan a trip around a biking experience like a Fondo. But I will say everywhere I've gone, I have taken my bike. The only thing that stands out for me is a trip I took to Las Vegas one time for work, and was able to rent a bike, and went up to Red Rock Canyon, and that just blew me away. I've never been out riding in the West. That being my first experience riding out there was just phenomenal. I was blown away by the majestic beauty of nature out there. And within commuting distance of Las Vegas, I just couldn't fathom that. Like, how could something this beautiful be so close to Las Vegas? No ill will against Las Vegas intended. It's not my cup of tea in terms of its lifestyle, but it has one great asset, that's for sure, just outside the city limits. And some great bike trails, actually. Some great bike paths within the city, too. They do a good job of promoting that. Just stay off the strip is my recommendation. That is not one road you want to ride on. So, any bucket list rides folks had a chance to do this year? This year was definitely a hot year for much of the U.S. I know I did not spend a lot of time out there on the actual living tarmac, or the real tarmac rather. Spent a lot of time here in Zwift. So Emiliano, your friend likes to cycle outside, and so you're going to do a 130 kilometer ride? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's more than a metric century. So that is a good ride. That's a good long ride. Now, is that an organized event or an informal pickup ride that you're planning? We have some, in this area, we do have some informal, pretty cool rides, if I must say so, that our local clubs put on. One of our local clubs, the Freewheelers, puts on what's called the beach ride. And as you may guess, it is a ride to the beach. We don't live in Myrtle Beach now. We live in Spartanburg County, so a ride to the beach is a 12-hour 6-hour odyssey across a couple hundred miles. And that is one ride that I think I might be ready for next year. I might try it next year. Was tempted to think about it this year, but with the heat, I just don't mess around with the heat. Not at my age, and not that kind of an endurance ride. But 130 kilometers is pretty impressive. That's going to be a pretty good ride for you there. You know, the only thing I've even done this year that's been really even close to that was a very flat century I did in the spring. Now, what I mean by flat, I mean as flat as you could get for the southeast. There's a wonderful trail system outside of Atlanta called the Silver Comet, and if you've not heard of it, it goes from outside of Metro Atlanta all the way into Alabama, and continues for some miles into Alabama. A very well maintained trail, super flat. Just a couple of areas where you come in and out of some valleys that are not really, really high, maybe a couple hundred feet of elevation going down and up. So it's very doable. I would suggest anybody who has never done their first century to consider that one as a possibility if you live within striking distance of that particular trail. So I basically went to the state line and then back. It was 118 miles, and I actually did it solo, and it wasn't that bad. I think the worst part was not having any hydration for the last 20 miles, which was kind of scary, but I did make it. So, yeah, fondos, you're absolutely right, Emiliano. Most fondos are long. I mean, I think that's what it translates from Italian, right? Big rod, I think is what it is. Grand fondo. So, it is by nature a long event, but you know, the right event has enough rest stops and enough options that it might be worthwhile. The one here in Greenville has 3 versions: the Piccolo, the Medio, and the Grand. And the Piccolo is like 15 miles, so it's 15 miles is pretty much doable by just about anybody. So they have that. I have not tried the Piccolo. The Medio is more of a challenge. It's 50 miles and covers about, I think, 4,000 feet of climbing. So while you can still cover it at a social pace, you can also make it a really challenging ride. So depending on your flavor. And the cool thing is, there's just about, with 2,500 people attending an event like that, you're going to have a group. There's going to be a group that's going to ride at your speed. You're not really going to be riding solo unless you're trying to win the thing. But yeah, it's really nice. So they do have that. And of course, Cappy puts on the Grand, and that is a very staggering 80 miles. I think like, I want to say 6,000 or 8,000 feet of climbing involved with that one. That one I have not tested myself on yet. And that one does have a time limit where you can be cut off and sent the Medio route instead, Medio route, if you don't make the time limit. So that does take some training and preparation. But you know, you really get to meet some great folks. Last event I was at, I met, I think, someone from Canada coming to the Fondo, gave them some tips, and some encouragement. It was their first, I think it was their first ride. And I think they were doing the Grand. So, and I gotta get my legs ready here. I wonder if this group is a little bit too fast. We'll see. Let's see. Where's my ride leader? Can't quite see where he is. He is. I think he's right behind me. I don't see the marker, but on the thing, it seems to indicate he's coming up behind me pretty fast. There he is, 38, 39 meters. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly appreciate that. You know, it's just like we have a very, very tough ride in this area that folks keep trying to encourage me to attend, and it's called the Assaults. And it's the Assault on Mount Mitchell that I'm referring to. That is like, I think, 10,000 feet of climbing, 100 miles. And it ends at a KOM at the top of Mount Mitchell. So I have said for the last couple of years that I think it was going to take me at least 2 or 3 years of steady training and gains, athletic gains, to even think about attempting something like that. So I'm with you there. I don't know if I will ever do the Assault. I've heard some folks say once they've done it, they've never wanted to do it again. It's just too painful, too hard. It's kind of like one of those rides that you just want to say you did it, but there's very few folks that I know that continue to do it again and again and again. It's very, very tough. I think, I have a feeling, if I do it, it will probably be just once. Now, I would do that Assault if they let me start at the top of Mitchell and go in the reverse direction. I would do that ride any day of the week. But that is not to be, I'm sure. Yeah, see, that's some serious climbing there, yes. It is. And they have, I think they have the field now. The Park Service, the National Park Service, I guess, over the years has tried to balance the needs of visitors to the park, which has increased in popularity. As you can imagine, the U.S. population has increased over the last 30 years they've had this ride. And while at the same time giving folks an opportunity to participate. And so I think last year, for the first time in a while, I'm not exactly sure about this, but I think for the first time in a while, they did cap the field going to the top of Mitchell at 250 riders, I think, just to minimize the inconvenience to other visitors of the park. All right. I don't know how much more talking I'm about to be able to do. We'll see what our fearless leader chooses to do here. I have it easy to top a volcano. Well, either one or two things are going to happen. Either everybody's going to ease up and we're going to stay together, or our leader is going to get dropped from his own group. One or the other, I'm not sure. So we'll see how everybody does. They are pushing a little bit more than he probably had advertised. And regroup at the top. That's not too easy to do. It's sort of a downhill almost immediately afterwards. We'll see if we can do that. But yeah, out to Zwift 3 times, yes. Plus 100 miles. You're not doing 100 miles on out to Zwift. In fact, if you did out to Zwift 3 times, I wonder how many miles that would work out to. If you trimmed off the downhills, which don't count, because you don't get that luxury on the assault. I think the alpha is like 7 miles. So you'd be doing like 21 miles of serious climbing, plus another 79 miles of rolling terrain in the southeast of the United States. It's tough. And when they have a hot day, when they're doing it on a very hot day, I really worry for the folks that participate because, heat exhaustion and heat stroke can be some real serious problems that folks face on an event like that. I think they have it in April or May. I think it's in May. So it's pretty late in the year. Pretty late. So yes, they do have their share of ultra endurance rides in this area. Then they have other ones that they don't even hold back. When they name the ride, they're pretty much letting you know it's designed to punish you and to make you want to beg to quit. But I won't go into those. No interest in those. So for me, if I ever do a big ride, like let's say the Grand Fondo, if I decide to do that Hincapie Grand Fondo, I'd have to work up to that. This year, my closest attempt was the charity ride I did in June for our local rescue mission, and that was 69 miles and a little over 6,000 feet of climbing, and that took everything out of me. That really did. And that was one of those rides when with an hour left, I wanted it to be over. Wanted it to be over an hour sooner than it was. But I got through it. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to go longer or harder than that. Because I know part of the challenge and part of the problem with those longer rides is they require such a time commitment to train for. I know for the assaults, the local club has probably 10 or more training rides every weekend. 10 weekends, I would say, leading up to the event, they're doing 60, 70, 80-mile rides every weekend. 4, 5, 6-hour rides. And I just don't have that kind of time to train like that. But you never know. Things might change. So as far as the assaults, because of the blob effect, I will say, the first 80 miles, you can stay with a group that will help conserve energy and increase your average speed. I've known some folks who have averaged 20 plus miles an hour for the first 80 miles. And that's still with I think 2,000 or 3,000 feet of climbing mixed in with that. So it is uphill. But that's really kind of how you can get through a big ride like that without bonking before you even get to the base of the mountain. is by staying in a group and sharing the work. So, just getting this little dig in here. Okay. I'm about ready to talk 3 million drops. All right. Now, Greg, I bet, he might be a fan of the climbs. I think he said, Greg, are you with us in the chat? You've been pretty quiet the last couple live streams if you've been with us. But Greg, I think you said you climbed out the Zwift over 25 times? That is definitely an accomplishment. I know I haven't gotten a little badge that says I've done it 25 times. I don't know if I will. I guess eventually I will. I will say out the Zwift was more fun as a training tool for the real deal. For me at least. That provided at least half the motivation to stick it out on such a long, hard climb. Because that kind of climb just breaks you down. I'll be honest with you. It puts a lot of fatigue in your legs. And are we halfway? Or are we almost done here? Is this just about the end? I'll be honest with you, I haven't been paying attention this time. I'm not sure really where I am. Yeah, I think I got one more loop around. So we're almost there. Got some strong folks going up to KOM, it looks like, tonight. According to the leaderboard that you guys can't see, top person is at 7 minutes and 3 seconds. So they've got some strong folks here tonight. All right. I think this is where I use my feather if I want to use it. So here goes. And there it goes. All right. All right. You're supposed to wait at the top. So we'll see if that happens. We got one person waiting. I'll try to see if I can coast on in. I might end up riding right on past it. We'll see. I'll give a kudo out. Oops, that's not the right person. I don't think I'm going to find him now. They probably went right by me. Okay. Oh, good, I stopped. Of course, when they do get to the top, they will probably fly right by me. So I guess I better be ready here. Okay, there's... I can't tell. Oh, there they go! Okay. Too busy looking down. Here we go again. Sprint time. I think I was the only one that waited. Was that true? I mean, anybody else wait? I don't think anybody waited. I better get with this group before they start heading out. All right. Now I'll be rolling by them. I wish I could say people are prone to eating ride leaders. But in Zwift, I'll be darned if I see it happen, even the first time. All right. We've gone out. Now we're on our way back. Almost can do the super tuck here. Almost. You know, I completely agree with you, Amiano. That is so true. It is so true. But you know, one advantage you do have with first efforts is that usually in first efforts, you're putting out your best. At least that's what I've found. You know, after you've done something a couple of times, you don't necessarily have that same motivation to put out your best, unless you're trying to break maybe a PR, or if it's a race, maybe trying to better your placings. But it's tough. It's tough. You know, back when my first year of riding, I didn't know if I would ever do a century. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to complete a century ride. You know, the most I'd ever ridden, I think, at any one time was like 5 miles. Like, to me, you know, a 30-minute ride was super tough. And then, you know, being able to ride for a whole hour, you know, I mean, that was such a huge accomplishment for me. And, you know, I look back at it now and I realize, you know, it's just part of the learning experience. Everybody starts at some level of fitness, and they get from where their current fitness is, and it takes them places where they may never even dream that they would be. You know, I never dreamed that I would ever be able to ride fast enough to be a competitive cyclist. So you just never know. I mean, after all, I started this road cycling journey when I was 47, I think, 47. So definitely was behind the curve, I guess you could say, on that one. And probably crazy to even be cycling competitively at 50. But it makes me feel young. It makes me feel better than I have really in all my life up till now. I just feel healthier. My overall health has improved for certain over the last few years. One thing competitive cycling will do to you, it'll either cause you to give up or give up bad habits. And I have subsequently given up some bad habits in terms of eating habits to make better choices. I can't even tell you the last time I had a good hamburger, even though I love hamburgers. But just been trying to make healthier choices. And it's by necessity, because you just can't. There comes a point where you just can't improve anymore until you start dealing with your nutrition, you know, seriously dealing with it. So I had to make that choice. And it was a good choice. It was a choice for my health. You know, that's why I'm so big on cycling. It's why I love it as a sport. I know some friends who are runners, and I enjoyed running a little bit, but my knees didn't, so that option wasn't really on the table for me. It really came down to cycling or sedentary, I guess you could say, for me. And so I chose cycling. I never regretted it. And I'm always trying to get my loved ones out there on the bike or doing something else. In fact, my daughter is doing very well in volleyball this year, her freshman year of college. So I'm really excited about that for her. Not to mention that she loves volleyball, but just the health benefits, you know. In a generation where we spend more time on this than we do just about anything else, and I'm guilty of that to a certain degree. You know, I think our culture as a nation has gotten more sedentary, not less so. So I think it's vital for for my children's generation, and particularly for my own children, wanting to see them make some healthier choices at a younger age, rather than getting to my age and having to forestall, any further health complications from some of the poorer choices that were made in younger years. So, better to start early. So, Amiano, so the it would be easy to quit, but I'll tell you, if you've made it that far to Juez, you're gonna find a way to make it to the top. You could even walk your bike up if you had to. But I personally had to take, I think, 3 short rest breaks because I didn't have any nutrition with me at all, and it being an over an hour effort, having some gels would have been great. Even just having a sports drink to drink, to keep my electrolytes up, would have been better. All I had was the tap water at the hotel. I just didn't have my nutrition figured out on that trip. So I would encourage you, if you do try that, anyone out there, if you do try Alpe Juez, bring some powdered mix with you at the very least. If you want to get some sort of a electrolyte mix, bring some gels with you. If you want to, if you're looking to try to, set a good time for yourself up the Alpe, because it is quite an endurance effort, and it's just so taxing because it's all low cadence work, and you just don't have the luxury of spinning up it. You're definitely going to do some quad damage up that thing. But so for me, I kind of faltered about 45 minutes in, which is about when my glycogen stores was probably running low, and I was starting to do more fat burning. And let's just face it, from what I understand of the physiology, when you're fat burning, your body's not able to produce as much energy doing fat burning as you would when you have those glycogen stores, because of the conversion of the energy source. So you just can't, you're not going to be able to do like an hour effort on the Alpe, or even definitely not a sub 1 hour effort without some nutrition, I think, or a lot of adaptation, So, and it just wasn't there for me. But I still enjoyed it. It was tough. I had to stop. I got to enjoy the view when I did, so there was no problem there. You didn't have to talk me into stopping, that's for sure. But I did make it, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Very memorable. But, once you do make it, like I had this first time around, you learn your lessons, and you certainly can have an even better experience the second time around. In fact, I've been talking my wife into going back there within the next year, so I could give it another try. It's so beautiful up in the Alps. I would have loved to have stayed longer and done more riding up there. Getting our head back in the ride here. I'm not even sure where the ride leader is at this point. Oh, he's way back now. Sorry, I've been gabbing on here, and we're way up ahead. We're way up ahead. So if any of you guys could pick one ride as like your epic ride, what would be your epic ride? Would it be the Alpe? Would it be Mont Ventoux? Or maybe like the Taiwan Hill Climb Challenge that Jasper Virchill, forgive me for dicing up his last name, what he's going to be doing soon. You know, what is it for you? For me, the Alp was definitely one of those. It is so different from anything else I've ever experienced that it is just the whole experience of traveling to Europe for the first time was amazing. Just awesome. But one mountain that I might just be foolish enough to try to conquer while I still got enough legs left in me is Mount Haleakala. And how many of you know about Mount Haleakala? Anybody have an inkling? Well, to tell you the story, I've been to Mount Haleakala. I was in the military, lived out in Hawaii. So there you go. It's in Hawaii. And it is considered one of the hardest climbs in the world. I don't know exactly where it's ranked. Top 50, top 30, top 10. I'm not exactly sure. But traditionally, if folks are trying to tackle this particular mountain, they'll start at the ocean, at sea level. You know, you got to do it proper. You got to start at 0 meters and climb all the way to the top, which is over 10,000 feet. So you're looking at almost 3,000 meters of constant climbing. And the grade is pretty gradual. I think it averages about 5%, so no killer steep sections as far as I know. But you are going up above where most people probably start to have some altitude-related effects. And you do go through a few ecosystems along the way. You know, being in a tropical climate at the bottom, and then climbing to what would be considered, I don't know, hard to describe it, alpine. It's barren. There's obviously no trees at the top. Very little bit of life up there. The only interesting life that you'll see at the top is this plant called the silver sword, which lives, forgive me, 50 years, 100 years. It blooms once in its life, and then it dies. A very interesting plant. Only found on Mount Haleakala. So that would be a very, very tough climb that I would like to potentially try. I've been up the top of that mountain by car, and I think it took me probably at least an hour to climb by car. So that's about an all-day ride right there. But so that would be my vote for a toughest climb that I can conceive of that I'd actually want to do. The terrain is absolutely stunning, I have to tell you. All right, we are all broken up here. Don't know where the ride leader is at this point. I think we'll just ride it on in solo, I guess. Yeah, so Emiliano, your comment, if I'll read it back here, says, speaking of Jasper, I've watched a few of the streams, and it seems that he's looking looking for donations. I'm sorry. You gave him, okay, yeah, $20 at that time, I think. He was supposed to do a 1,800 watt sprint, but topped out at 1,000. Well, you know, I don't want to comment too much on that, but I will say that, you know, like anybody who has an established YouTube presence, there is some monetization aspect of it, and you know, it is it's part of the presence out there. You know, when you have some popularity. What I can say about an 1,800 watt sprint, I can tell you as he had already alluded to in the stream, that is extremely difficult to do on a trainer. I know for a fact my trainer is supposed to be able to do 2,000 watts, and I've never seen my trainer cap more than 1,200. And I know I can do a little bit more than 1,200, but it's never ever gone above 1,200. In fact, that last event that I rode in, if you guys saw, the trainer kind of, I think it hit like 1,100 or no, 1,050 watts or 1,080 watts or something, and it just stayed there for like a full second or two. And that's because I think that the power curve on this particular thing flattens out my sprints. I mean, you can push harder, but it's not going to register harder for whatever reason. I don't know why. My power meter registered more on my crank, but I just can't get this. I haven't figured out the magic combination of cadence and speed to eke out more watts out of this thing. So I think I would be in agreement with him that 1,800 watts on a trainer in a very stiff setup like this where you can't have any movement, I think is unrealistic. I mean, if you have a watt bike, maybe something that's designed for that, it's a lot heavier, you might be able to get a standing start and peak out above 1,000 or 1,100. But I think most of the commercial trainers I've used, I've never really been able to get it to peak fast. It tends to be very sluggish on the high end. So I'll just leave that at that. Let's see if I can use this arrow up on the downhill here. And man, see if we can tow some folks down this hill. Or maybe not. Let's see. Do we get the arrow tuck? You might get it. It's kind of funny. By the time my thing spins down enough to get the arrow tuck, it's already over. That's so funny. Yeah, you definitely can't. It is much harder. And in fact, I think the only reason I can do the watts that I can do on the trainer is because I spent a lot of time on the trainer sprinting and adapting my my form to the trainer, which is probably not good for in real life racing. But you spend the majority of your time on the trainer, I guess that can make sense. And for me, as I've shared in times past, I just have I have some I guess preference for racing in Zwift versus in real life. I just find that the opportunities to excel are better there. I think the playing field is more level in Zwift because of some of the technical limitations, notwithstanding the ways people cheat the system, which hopefully, as time goes on, technology can solve some of those problems. But best part about it is I don't have to spend $35 to participate. I can get out there, enjoy some competition. Don't even have to leave my house and drive 100 miles for the privilege. So I do enjoy and I prefer racing on Zwift. Others, like Jasper, may not. It may not suit him and his style of racing to that end. But everybody's going to find where they enjoy it. And you can tell, right? You can tell when someone's enjoying riding in Zwift on a live stream versus someone who doesn't. And you go where you have your confidence and where you have your enjoyment, where you feel comfortable. And I feel very comfortable in this element. And this is where I like to stay. So reading a chat here. Yes, it is very time friendly. I really, as far as criterion races and road races, for me, there's only two for me that are within an hour's drive of my house. And so I usually participate in those two events. The Spring Series, which is coming up in February, March, and the local Barger criterion, both of which I've got some videos posted on, the ones I did this year. But there are some events out in Rock Hill. There's others down in Walterboro and down in Charleston. But, those take either an overnight stay or a long drive to participate. And, to really be competitive and fresh, you really need the overnight stay. I drove down to Walterboro for my very first crit. I wanted it to be an easier crit, a flat course, not very technical, less well attended. So the local crit is super fast, super hard, a lot of riders, 50 plus fields sometimes, and I just didn't want to chance it in my first criteria. So I went down there. There was only 14 people in my heat, and so I felt about as easy as one can be in their first road event. Still nervous as all get out, and I ended up getting dropped. But it was a good learning experience. I think everybody gets dropped in their first crit. Who doesn't, right? It was a Cat 4-5, so I was bound to get dropped. My first road race, I did do better at that. My first road circuit race was with the Spring Series, and I got, I think, 13th place out of 50. So that was a good result, and I didn't feel too bad on that one. It was a larger peloton, but we stayed together to the bunch sprint. I just ended up getting boxed in and didn't have a chance at the podium. But racing is hard. You just riding 100 miles to an event and trying to manage your nutrition, your hydration while traveling, managing your preparation time that you need before the event, your warm up and all that is hard when you add an extra 2 or 3 hours into your event each way coming and going. It's hard. It really is, Emion. Yes, I agree. So, and the entry fees too, yes. Absolutely. They are no small thing. If you're not sponsored by a team, those fees can add up if you're trying to do a full schedule, full race schedule that year. So, but for me, being 50 plus, not really having a lot of events in my area that cater to that age group, it's just for me, I don't see myself being very competitive with the younger guys in the Cat 4s and the Cat 3s. I think I could make it to Cat 4. Well, for those of us who are domestic U.S. racers, that is, they go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amateur, I think Pro 1, 2 is where the cutoff is there. But, getting above a Cat 4 at my age would probably be extremely unusual and difficult. I just never started racing as a young person, so, I just don't think that opportunity is there for me. Now, if USA Cycling is listening and wants to have an old man Cat 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, God bless you. You probably have thousands of us old men signing up for that. Because there's two things that us old men want in racing. We don't want to come away with broken bones. That's number one. And it's got to be a level playing field with our peers for us to want to really participate. And I just don't have any motivation if both of those elements aren't there. You know, the spring series for us here in the Southeast, they do have a 35 and older category for the beginners bracket, the Cat 5s. So I do feel I can be competitive in that arena, and in that arena probably only. But you know, so it's got to be interesting, you know. It's just like being in the Cat Bs here in Zwift. You know, nobody wants to race forever in their category and not podium ever, you know. I did get a couple of podiums, I think, this year, and there may be some potential. Catch me on a good day with a sparse field, I might be able to get one or two, but you know, you want to have something that is reachable, you know, a reachable goal. So I think my goals are more reachable here in Zwift in terms of my training and you know, racing aspirations, if any. And I don't have to worry about broken bones. So there we go. Hey, y'all. Hey, Miana. Hey, I really thank you, man. Appreciate the conversation. You know, we definitely have to have more of these types of rides, but circling conversation back around to the fight against MS. For those of you who are watching, don't forget to get involved in some way, especially if you have a personal connection to that particular disease. You know somebody, a loved one, a coworker, or a friend. You know, reach out and try to support in some way, even if it's just giving some encouragement to those in your life. That is huge. That is, I think, more important than a ride or even a donation. But for those of you who do want to donate to MS, Zwift has some links, I think, that you can donate through them. If you're a watcher of this channel on a frequent basis and you want to give through Finish Strong, we do have a link in our description in below the video. One of our teammates rode for MS this year. You can feel free to donate through her fundraising page. For that, I will say thank you all for tuning in. I enjoyed it. It was not a crushing effort tonight. So I give kudos to the ride leader for that. It is really hard to corral 300 people and keep them together as long as he did. So I give him kudos for that. In fact, I will give him kudos. But I won't hold you guys up. I will do that. Oh, there's the Roadrunner. I'm not going to race the Roadrunner today. But have a great night, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, and as always, God bless. We'll see you on the next one.